while I still, in my mind, do it the difficult way. Do you see that? That's crazy. If the computer is telling you, hey, look, I need the 12 notes. Why? Because that's the easy way to do it, you idiot. That's what the computer's saying. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it this way, right? We're actually using the computer to do it the easy way, to tell us the answer of us doing something the hard, like going around the long distance. Why are we going the long distance and then using the computer just to do the short distance thing? Okay. But I also don't want I don't want these two names, and I don't want the symbols, but I still want to see the letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say when I get to the AB, I'm going to call it just ABs. That means when I put it in a cell over here, like in our fretboard, at this fretboard, all I can see are the ones that don't have sharps and flats. But when I put a sharp and flat in this cell, I don't want to say it's going to be A hashtag or B hashtag. That's going to take up the entire cell. That's too much. So what I want to do is make a shortcut. That's what I'm going to call AB. So uppercase for me is going to be the if it's an A, and then if it's either, you can call it, I don't care what you call it, an A sharp or a B flat, I'm going to call it an AB, which is the same numerically as like 1.5 for simplicity to type in Excel, so that when we create our fretboard, it's easy to see and we can still name it either way. That means either A sharp or B flat for me. So again, I'm not sure if that's not a standard thing that people are doing, but if you're mapping it out on a fretboard and you're looking for a system that's going to be easy to see while still capturing the concept of it having two names, sharp or flat, that will work. So then we have a B, and then we've got the C, and then the C, D, the D, right? I'm just combining the number and the letter. So this is either a D or an E, and this is going to be an E. This is going to be an F. This is either going to be an F or a G, an F sharp or a G flat, and then right, a G, and then either a G sharp or an A flat. So that's going to be the system that I think is easiest just from a typing standpoint. And then what I'd like to do is combine these two together. I'm going to combine these two together so it's 1A. So when I put it in my fretboard over here, notice I actually flipped it. Like I was putting it in here as 1A. I think it's easier to see as A1. So I see it as note A, which I'm also going to call from a number standpoint 1. So I'm going to flip it around, but we did this with a formula by just saying this equals this cell and this cell, and we'll get into that Excel-wise if you want to look at how to do that. But now I can build my fretboard, and I can see all of the notes. And I'm only showing the notes that are in the key of C here, and I find that to be the most useful thing. If I populate all of the cells on the fretboard, it gets too busy looking, even though I can color code it to just show any notes that I want. So I figured out how to just show the notes of the key that I'm in, and I can switch the key on my fretboard in Excel, which is super cool. So even if you don't want to learn how to program the Excel, that is such a cool tool to use. Like the best, seriously, it's the best. I get a lot of people, but I tried to say that the Excel's the best, and that's like my most famous presentation these days, because people apparently that's offensive thing to say, that Excel's the best music theory. It is, okay? It is, all right? I stand by it. It's not hyperbole, okay? So then we can just combine these two together, and boom. So now we can plug those into our fretboard. So now we have a baseline, and hopefully we can, so what I'd like to see is be able to visualize it as cleanly as possible. It's just like a ruler. It's just got 12 notes. None of the notes are better than any other notes. It's just 12 notes. I can write them this way if I want to visualize the fact that some of them could be called sharps and flats. And now I have something that I can cleanly build on, which is what's going to happen later, which is we apply the formula. Once you have the 12 notes, then you apply the formula, which if you're starting on the key of C, the formula goes starting here, whole step, half step, whole step, and then the next whole step could go down here, next octave up, or it could go around in a circle up here. All right, and then so it's going to be whole step or whole step, and then half step back home. Or if I'm going this way, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's the formula. So if you want to visualize it the right way, you have 12 even notes. It's not like the white notes on the piano are where you start. All the notes are the same. And then you apply the formula, which results in, if you start from the C note, which is just a random thing to do, you could have started from any note, that's when you get the 7 white notes on the piano. See, they're not special. They're all the same theoretically, right? I historically, they're special, okay? Because a lot of songs are written in the key of C. It's got a lot of, so that makes sense because the piano is a beautiful instrument. It's in the key of C, and, that's great. But theoretically, it's not. There's nothing. You see what I mean? So then down, and then I can see it in a circle here. So if I map this out on a circle, C, same formula. C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step back home. That's the formula. And it happens to work out from our perspective logistically, just as like an accountant. Like when I'm trying to build things, it's great to work in the key of C because I know that it doesn't have any sharps and flats in it. So just because of the naming system now, we have this kind of internal control to use the key of C as our default because the naming convention is such that it doesn't have any of the sharps and flats. So if I can figure something out in the key of C, such as the fretboard here, I know that I can shift everything up to every other key, which will include sharps and flats, but and it's just as valid as everything else, but I can be fairly confident it's working because I worked it out in the key of C, which gives me a little bit of an internal control due to the sharps and flats thing. That's one reason we play in the key of C. And even the guitar, by the way, is kind of keyed more maybe to A minor, which is the related mode, which has all the same notes as the key of C. So even it is kind of tuned favoring the key of C. So again, when I say it's not special, it is, historically special. That's the key that a lot of people, that we play a lot of songs in. Yes, but it's not special in terms of theory on how you build the system. There's nothing special about those notes. That's happened to be the key that was picked. Okay, so we'll get more. So what we're going to go on top next time is to take these notes and build our scales from, and then I want to memorize those nodes, and that's what we'll get in next time, nodes on top of these 12 notes.